Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, everyone between Jason, welcome back to the tier list. Yes, that's right, we're here on tiermaker.com and we are making another tier list. No, we're not talking about Genesis. No, we're not talking about TCG. We are, in fact, talking about character duels. Character duels has been one of my favorite ways of playing Yu-Gi-Oh! At the moment, and we just got a huge update, adding a whole new pool of cards and even updating the Forbidden and Limited list. So, I decided to give the update about a week to settle. It's been a week, around a week, and I thought I'd give my thoughts on where each deck stands after the big updates. Of course, the new cards added to the pool are mostly like Yusei, Kaiba, and Zane focused, but I don't think that rockets any one deck all the way to the top, because the ban list did also change a lot. Specifically, talking about the ban list, we can talk about our first deck, and that is the deck that got the most from the ban list. That would be Joey. If you don't know, plays a Red Eye / Dragon control deck. A deck that really revolves around whether you can resolve cards like Fang with Chain to turn on the / Dragon targeting negation. The big problem with the deck is that that just wasn't really good. The best card, whereas Fang with Chain, was limited to 1, probably the best removal card in the entire format, but it was hard limited to 1. However, after the last list, it got unlimited to 3 copies. So, where exactly does that leave Joey for us? Yes, that is right, it leaves Joey still in the D tier. While yet having multiple Fangs with Chain is really good, it just doesn't fix the problem of Joey's deck of not doing enough. Red Eye's Fusion, while it was at one point one of the most powerful cards in all of Yu-Gi-Oh!, just raw slamming that down to make a / Dragon isn't it. It's just not the best thing we could be doing in the format, and honestly, I don't think the extra copies of Fang with Chain changes the math on Joey at all. Now, next up, let's talk about the deck I've been kind of one-tricking, I guess you can say. I spent all my respect orbs on maxing out this character first. That is, if you watched my live streams, Zane. I'm going to say Zane is about B tier at the moment. He did get Cyber Dragon, hers, and Naxter, but if we're being real, Zane just still isn't that great. He's really weak into Yuma, and there's no real protection-like effects on Zane at all. As it stands, the protections he does have all specify Cyber Dragon exactly, and the default deck only comes with 1 actual Cyber Dragon. So we're not going to put like a core on board and make it indestructible. That's just not happening. But Zane can be very explosive or control-y depending on what you open in your hand. And then we just get our board bounced back by Ptolemy M7 and we die. Speaking of Ptolemy M7 and Yuma deck, I'm putting Yuma up here in S tier. Yes, sorry, I'm putting Yuma up into S tier. I think the Yuma Utopia deck is probably the best deck you could be playing at this time. Yuma did not get any new cards, no new tools, aside from maybe Valor if you want to play Valor in this deck. Gaga Sister got limited to 2, but I still think Yuma is probably the best deck you could be playing. It has a turn 1 setup with Force Focus plus Utopia, Protection in Battle. You have Negation, which is crazy in this format. And then when going second, the game just gives you the double or nothing OTK. Not only that, M7 I mentioned before is just a piece of non-destruction removal. Which, speaking of destruction removal, Yuma has that too, with Gaga Sister getting you Gaga Bolt. Next up, I want to talk about the deck that probably gained the most from the card pool update, and that is Yusei. Yusei's Synchron deck was actually already really powerful, and then it just got all these new tools to really push it over the top. Now, do I think that puts it up with Yuma? No. Yuma is still so much more versatile than every other deck that I don't think any other deck on this list is even going to contend with it, but Yusei is definitely up there. As of right now, the things Yusei's deck is lacking to really push it over the edge is a turn 1 end board that interacts more with the opponent. Yusei can get protection. On his next turn can go for a bunch of battle controlling effects, right? But in terms of actual interaction, pretty much all we can do is either Stardust or Spark Dragon. Maybe if you can figure out how to make Moonlight, you can do Moonlight plays. And then adding cards like Drill Warrior and Turbo Warrior don't really change that kind of what do we do on turn 1 math a lot. the deck does still struggle with removal like Book of Moon, the Magician's Navigation, and the Magician's Circle, the Banish, all those kinds of removals. So maybe in a future update when Yusei has more of a turn 1 play, the deck can move up higher tier. Next up, I want to talk about Shark. So I'm putting Shark here in B tier, not because the deck's bad, it's not B for bad, but because Shark is kind of one note. At first, on release, I thought Shark was probably going to be one of the best decks you could possibly play. I honestly did, I probably even said it on stream, think that Shark was the best deck, not because of the actual power, but the skill Shark has is probably the strongest skill out of all of them. The extra normal, being able to cheat your Xyzs out, really powerful. But what holds Shark back at the moment is the fact that every guy you can end on, they're all battle tricks. And that's not really good for this format. If you have to wait till battle phase to use your effects, okay, cool, you get Book of Moon in main 1, Magician's Circle banished in main 1, you get Gaga bolted, you get M7 bounced back to the hand. So the big board of a bunch of like 24s and higher doesn't really do much. I do think that Shark here in the B tier probably is a little bit better than Zane, so I'm just gonna move him over a little bit. I think in a Zane versus Shark matchup, Shark probably has the advantage. Now, let's put our first deck in the C tier. I'm gonna put Jaden, Hero Neo's deck, whatever you want to call it, here in C. Not because the deck isn't good. Jaden probably has the biggest toolbox out of every character in the format. The big issue is that of them all, Jaden is probably the least consistent. Of every deck we've already ranked on the... If you don't see any of the 6 Neos the game gives you, you pretty much do nothing. Yeah, you could hard open a Neos Fusion, but that's not really the best. You want to have Neos Fusion, you want to set up your Necrogardna, but that's just not good enough. That's why I'm putting Jane down here at C. Maybe in the future, if we can get maybe more the generic hero stuff that like maybe Jane Ubel can kind of be a thing in the future, maybe then we can move Jane up a little bit. But as it stands, this Neos deck isn't too great. All right, Jaden's not going to sit alone in C because I'm also going to put Yugi in C. So the reason I specified that Jaden was probably the least consistent out of all the decks on the board is because I hadn't put Yugi on the board yet. Yugi is legitimately the least consistent deck out of all of these. The skill is okay. His skill's okay, but it requires you to open like a 3 of. It's really, really bad. Then the board you're trying to set up with the skill, right, is Navigation, Summon Dark Magician, Circle Banish. That's good removal, but that doesn't make much of an end board. Every single deck is given back removal just at the start, so they can hold for your circle activation to just remove it, and then because of the way the continuous spell card rulings work, it's just gone. And there goes your interaction. You do get the new limited 2 Magician Apprentice. I don't know if you'd even play 2 of her, but she is kind of like a Kalut / honest kind of card, which is decent, but I don't think that's going to move the needle very much. Hopefully in the future we can get support for Yugi. That I'm not saying he needs the Gaze of Timaeus tomorrow. I'm saying maybe more something alongside of Secrets of Dark Magic, OG Timaeus, those kinds of guys. Next up, let's talk about Jack. I think Jack Atlas is definitely here in the A tier. The skill Jack has is very powerful. You know, at first, I really wasn't sold on Jack as a character, but then watching other people play Jack, I realized I was just playing him wrong. The best way to play Jack is to put one of his big synchros in the EMZ, in attack. The guy's just a massive threat, and then just a wall of resonators in defense. That's perfect. The skill gives you follow-up. Like, any draw in the deck is pretty much going to be live. He can search Sphere Kariba, which, yeah, you do have to add that into the deck afterwards, but that's really powerful. So even if your main source of defense is the defense position resonators, you can then stop their attacks with a search Sphere Karibo to just control out the game even more. Not to mention, his extra deck is probably some of the most powerful individual guys in the entire format. Dark End Dragon being able to send pretty much anything. Non-destruction removal is insane in this format. And Jack stands this high up on the list without even getting anything new. And finally, last but not least, we got Kaiba. Where are we putting Kaiba? I'm throwing Kaiba up here in A tier. So Kaiba is really powerful. Don't get me wrong. The Kaiba deck is really strong. We just got Silver's Cry. We got Veiler now, which Kaiba can just search. But the problem with Kaiba that doesn't push him up to the S tier with Yuma, in my opinion, is that his skill is actually a little underpowered. All the skill really does is get you a copy of Poly, which is nice when you're turn 2 and you're trying to smash through the board, but when you're going first, it doesn't really set you up for much of anything. Kaiba's lack of a consistent turn 1 play is really what's putting him down here at the top of A rather than pushing him up with Yuma. Keep an eye out on Kaiba. In the future, if we get any of the good payoffs, Kaiba would just instantly shoot right to the top. But yeah, this is my list. Obviously, it's very subjective. There's no actual ranked mode in character duels, so this is kind of just vibes based on just playing the format. So I'm sure you probably have a different experience. If you'd like to share that experience, go ahead and leave a comment down below. Tell me if you think I'm stupid. Tell me if you think you disagree 100% with my list, 2% with my list, anything. Or if I've just missed something completely, let me know down there too. And while you're down there, go ahead and like the video and subscribe to the channel. I'll see you guys next time for more Character Duels content. Goodbye.